This video is designed to give you some mobility and flexibility in your lower back, strength in your hips and legs, particularly for if you've had an ankle fusion and you don't have any mobility in that ankle. So the goal of this class is to give you the strength that you need to support your legs in standing and to give your core and your back the movement that it needs to try and reduce pain levels and discomfort levels as you move forward in your rehab. So finding a nice comfortable position in a chair, you can take your shoes off and have your feet on the floor. Make sure your feet are directly underneath your knees, your hips, knees and ankles on one nice straight line. And whichever side you have an ankle fusion on, place that foot in a comfortable position. So you might need your foot slightly forward or slightly back, wherever it feels most comfortable. See if you can lift and splay the toes just to feel a nice solid base. Close your eyes for a moment and lengthen up through your spine. Taking a deep breath in and exhale. Take 2 more deep breaths with me, trying to slow and calm down your nervous system and nourish your body. Deep breath. Inviting your breath right into your belly for the last time. Good, you can blink your eyes open and try to bring your awareness to your feet. See if you can have notice where the pressure is, whether it's in the front of the foot or the back of the foot, or on the inside or the outside of the toes, and see if you can create even pressure between the ball and the heel and the inside and the outside. We're going to try and press your feet in firmly to the ground and feel them rooted to the earth. At the same time, I want you to notice your sitting bones, root them down firmly into the chair. And resting your hands on your lap, you're going to lengthen your spine. Imagine someone drawing you up like a puppet through the crown of your head. Excuse me. See if you can visualize your spine lengthening upwards, creating space. Now you can draw your belly button in slightly towards your lower back. And we're going to start with a series of turns. So turning your head and then your shoulders and reach right back behind you. This wall is kind of in my way, but I'm going to move this way so you can see. So you're going to be turning with the head, then the shoulders, and then reaching back with the hand. And then coming back to the center and repeating on the other side. So keep going side to side at your pace and within your range of motion. And as you're going, try to see if you can notice or become aware of noticing the rotation through your spine from the base of your skull all the way down to your tailbone. And see if you can notice any areas that feel uncomfortable. And maybe try and breathe into those areas, gently inviting them to move a little more. Good, leading with the head first, then the shoulders, then the arm, and back to the center. Now one more time in a smooth movement, so everything moving together. Hold it there for a moment. Try to picture each vertebra of your spine lifting away from the one beneath it and rotating slightly. And come back to the center. And other side, lengthen through the spine, rotate behind you, hold it there. Pull your belly button in to support you. And gently coming all the way back to the center. Now we're going to gently do little pelvic tilts. So drawing your tailbone underneath you, rounding through the lower back and the upper back and tucking the chin in. And then going the other way. Try to arch the lower back gently, open up through the chest, looking towards the ceiling. And then rounding again, tucking that tail right under, drawing the belly button to your spine, rounding the upper back, tucking the neck in, and repeating that. You can do this if it feels good in your lower back. You can do it as many times as you want to. And see if you can notice the quality of the movement. How slow, how smooth does it feel to transition from extension over here into flexion? Trying to connect your brain visually in your mind's eye to the muscles that control this movement, and trying to invite them to partner with you to move in as smooth a way as possible. Good, then coming to a neutral position. So you have a little bit of a bend through the lower back. We're going to do one more spinal mobility movement. So if you can open your legs out to the side, as wide as they will go, so creating some space through the pelvis and the inside of your thighs. We're going to lean side to side, keeping your chest nice and open, bringing the elbow to your knee. Good. Draw that belly button in. So trying to have active muscles around your spine as you're stretching it, so that they're involved in creating some more range of movement. Don't want to just passively stretch the spine without strengthening the muscles that support it. Paying attention to your body. Which direction feels better? Where do you feel stiffer? Maybe you want to pause on one side. Take a few deep breaths there while engaging the core muscles. If anything feels painful, don't go as far. Don't go in that direction. Respecting your body always. Good. And coming back to the center, you can bring your legs forward again. And we're going to come down to the floor. Okay, so lying on the floor on your back, find a nice comfortable position. If you want, you can put a little towel or a small pillow under your neck if it's not comfortable to have your head rested on the floor. Bring your hands down to your side. You can bring your feet up towards your buttocks as close as they'll go. So depending on where your fusion is, depending on the range in your ankle, you might need to have it closer or further away. Ideally to have the foot flat on the mat beneath you. And wherever the foot that has the fusion is, try and match that with the other foot so that they are as even as possible. Then we're going to squeeze the tummy muscles and squeeze the buttock muscles as you lift your hips up off the ground. So here it depends on your range of movement, how much mobility you have, how high you're going to go. But this mustn't hurt your lower back. So really make sure you're engaging your core muscles and you're squeezing the buttocks as you lift. If at any point you get any pain in the lower back, it's a reminder to make sure that you aren't lifting up through that lower back and you need to make an adjustment to the movement. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core, and lift. So lifting high as you can go. Feel the weight going down through your ankles and your feet. Good. See if you can notice what's happening in your pelvis as you lift. Is one side tilting down towards the floor? Is it shifting side to side? And see if you can keep it still and centered as you bring it up and down. Good. Then see if you can pay attention to the line between your hips and your knees. Are your knees wavering side to side? Are they collapsing inwards or outwards? You want one nice straight line between the hips and the knees. So a lot to pay attention to. A huge part of getting our muscles to work functionally and as naturally as possible is to pay attention to them while we're working them. Squeeze the buttock muscles as you lift. And now if your back is feeling okay, you can hold it there and do little pulses up and down. So I'm not going to count repetitions for you because I don't know how strong you are at this stage, whether you are having any pain. You really need to pay attention to your own body. So if at any point you are getting pain, you need to stop or slow down. If you are feeling like this is not challenging your buttock muscles and your hamstrings enough, you could then lift one leg off the ground. Start with the fused ankle, lifting that one off the floor so that the stronger leg is holding you. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come all the way down. Now you can try on the other side. So you can lift up, shift your weight onto the fusion side, and lift the leg, the opposite leg. Hold for as long as you can, squeezing through the buttocks for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower that leg down and come all the way down. So we're going to do that one more time. You can either do it with both legs or you can do one at a time. So we'll do 2 sets. You can either do it on both legs or on one leg. Holding it for 5, 4, 3. Squeeze the buttocks, maybe lift a little higher and come slowly down. Squeezing those tummy muscles in towards the spine. Changing sides. If you're on one leg. If you're not, that's completely fine. You'll stay with 2 legs until those muscles get strong enough to lift you up on one leg. So hold it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come slowly down. Good. Then take hold of both of your knees. Gently draw them in towards your chest. And give your lower back gentle massage. So rocking your knees from side to side gently. You can put your hands on your knees and do big circles through the hips here. Change direction. Good. Now we're going to come into side lying. So lying on the stronger side. Okay, so finding a nice comfortable position. Make sure that your hips are stacked on top of each other. Your belly button is in nice and tight. You can rest one hand in front of you and your other hand on your head. Or you can place a pillow here that you could rest your head on, whichever feels most comfortable for you. We're going to lift that top leg up so that the knee is in line with the hip. Then we're going to bring it forward and kick it back behind you. As you go back, don't let that hip open up or tilt backwards. Keep the hip directly above the bottom hip. Squeeze the tummy muscles as you kick your leg back to make sure that this hip doesn't drop backwards. So kicking back. And we're trying to think of these muscles up here on top of the hip. So we're working on your glutes and your leg muscles because they are as important as what's going on in your ankle, if not more. Because of the loss of ankle mobility, we need the muscles around your leg to be as strong as possible so that they can adapt to your new style of walking. And they will with time if we are patient and we challenge them sufficiently. Good. Now hold it here so that it's stacked above the bottom leg. And we're going to lift it up and down. So opening and closing it. As you lift it up, connect your brain with the side of your hip here. You can even put your hand there to see if you can feel this muscle squeeze as you lift up. Lift, squeeze nice and tightly. Squeeze, good, squeeze. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now straighten that leg out towards that way and lift it up towards the ceiling. What often happens here is the hip drops back and the front of the leg shoots up towards the ceiling. So don't be tempted to let that happen. Keep these hips stacked. Keep your foot and thigh facing forward and lift up and down. Again, squeezing through the side of the hips. Good. Now we're going to do, I'm just going to move myself up a bit so that you can see more of my foot. We're going to turn the foot towards the ceiling, lift, turn it in towards me and lower it down. Open up towards the ceiling, lift, turn towards me, lower it down. 4 more. Up, rotate inwards, down, rotate up, lift, rotate forward, down. 2 more. Rotate up, lift, rotate forward, and down. Last one. Rotate the hip up, lift, tummy muscles always tight. Rotate forward and come down and drop that leg down towards the ground. So drop it out downwards towards the floor and you'll feel a stretch across the top of the hip here. If that's too much, you can bend the knee and allow that just to rest on the bottom leg. And when you're ready, you can change sides. So this side might feel different to the other one. So bending the feet so that your hips are stacked on top of each other and your knees are stacked. Lift the top leg, bring it forward and kick it back. Pay attention to what's happening in your body. What feels, are you in control of what's happening in your pelvis? Is it shaking around? What's happening through the thighs, the knee dropping down? You can imagine that you're maybe carrying a tray here in this corner that you're making with your knee. And if you tipped it down, everything would fall off the tray. So try and keep that as horizontal as possible. It's really helpful sometimes to work, to do this in front of a mirror or a window where you can see what's happening in your body. Good. And now bringing it back to the center, we're going to open and close that leg. So lift up, squeeze through the buttocks, lift, lift. Good. So it might feel different to the other side. Most likely it will. The muscles have now over time adapted in different ways, depending on how long haven't been moving as you used to. But our bodies are amazing, and if we are patient with them, they will adapt to new ways. Good. 4 more. 1. Thinking about squeezing through this buttock muscle here on the side. With me. 2, 3, and 4. Now straighten your leg out and lift it up to the ceiling, up and down. Nice and controlled. Trying to look for quality of movement. If you can't do all of these repetitions, that's good because it means you can keep coming back to this video and working on building that strength. If you find that you can easily, with control and awareness, do all of these repetitions, then you could add a little bit of a weight to the ankle to make it more challenging. Good. Now we're going to add in the rotation through the hip. So turn your foot up towards the ceiling, lift up, turn it towards me, bring it down, rotate. You might notice one side rotates better than the other. I certainly noticed that. Open up, lift, rotate forward, and come down. Open up, lift, rotate forward, and come down. Open, lift, rotate forward, and down. 3 more. Rotate up, lift, forward, and down. Open, lift, forward. Make sure these hips aren't dropping back, keeping them stacked one above the other. Open, lift, rotate forward, and down. Very nice. Dropping that foot down towards the ground if you can for a stretch, or bending the knee in towards the other one. Okay, then coming up into 4-point kneeling. So depending here on the range of movement in your ankle, you might need to just position your foot wherever feels comfortable for you. So you might need to tuck your toes under. You might want to tuck them back. So wherever it feels most comfortable. Ideally, I'm wanting to use this as a little bit of a stretch into the toes, because the ankle is fused. You're not going to get a stretch through the ankle here. But if you can find a position where you could get a little bit of a stretch through the toes, we're going to just gently then rock the hips back to wherever you can manage and rock them forward. Rock back and rock forward. As you rock back, also thinking of lengthening through the spine. Maybe you can bring your hands further forward a little, trying to get a little stretch through the lower back and the upper back, allowing your chest to reach down towards the ground while getting that little bit of a stretch through the toes. Good, then bringing them back to the center. Position your feet wherever that ankle is comfortable. So you might want to have the non-fused ankle pointing backwards, or have it up matching the other one. It's up to you, entirely. And in this position, I want you just to tuck your tail in round the spine, coming into a C shape. And then extending the lower back, dropping the belly towards the ground and opening through the front of the chest. Good, do that one more time. So tucking the tail in, finding your spinal flexion. And then inhale, finding extension, dropping the belly towards the ground. And then find that somewhere in between, your neutral spine. So in neutral, you'll have a little bit of a tiny bit of an arch in the lower back. The spine is nice and long through the upper back. And in this position, I want you to engage your tummy muscles. And we're going to lift one arm in front of you. Feel how this opposite shoulder has to hold and stabilize you, but also the muscles that run from the shoulder, from the ribs on that side into the opposite hip, holding the spine and the trunk up. So make sure your shoulders are horizontal, that you're not dropping one down. Hold it there. Make sure your lower back still has a tiny bit of an arch in it. And bring the hand down. Then changing sides. Lift that arm up. Draw the belly button in, keeping a little bit of an arch through your lower back, not allowing your shoulder to drop towards the ground, keeping nice horizontal shoulders. Good. And bring that down. Now we're going to lift one leg at a time. So kicking back with one leg. Right back behind you. Try not to lift the hips up. Keep those hips horizontal, shoulders horizontal. Squeeze the belly button. Good. And bring that leg down. Then changing sides. Take the other leg out behind you. Again, not letting that hip lift up. Keep your hips horizontal, your pelvis horizontal. Make sure you're not collapsing through the shoulders, pushing up strongly through the shoulders. Lift that leg maybe just a little bit higher. Squeeze through the belly button. Good. And gently release. Bring the leg down. Very nice. We're going to come up into standing again. Okay, in standing, I want you to stand with your feet hip-width apart. Have a chair there just for a little bit of balance and support. And we're going to bring your awareness to your feet and your toes in particular. So I want you to flare your toes and lift them off the ground, both sides. So the left or the non-fused side, helping the fused side feel and see and picture what it needs to do, and drop it down. Lifting the toes high as you can and drop them down. Now, as you lift those toes, try and imagine the muscles along the front of the shin and the muscles in the top of the thigh squeezing. So the whole front of your leg actively engaging and helping those toes lift a little bit further and drop them down. Again, lift those toes up. Feel the muscles along the top of the foot, front of the ankle, up through the front of the shin, up through the top of the thigh. Also, always keeping your spine tall. Hold and release. Good. Let's do 3 more of those. So lifting the toes up, up, up. Squeezing all those muscles. Make your brain connect to the muscles along the front of the shin, through the thigh, squeeze and release. Good, 2 more. Lift up, 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 up. And release. And 1 more, lifting high as you can. Dropping your weight slightly back into the heel. As much as you can. Lift those toes, try spread them wide. And release them down. Good. Now we're going to try and scrunch those toes as tight as you can, like you're trying to dig the toes into the ground and release. As you're scrunching the toes into the ground, try and think of the inside, this arch in the inside of the foot, trying to draw it up and away from the floor. Release. Good. Scrunch those toes, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze tight, and release. And squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Pull that arch up away from the floor and release. 1 more time, squeezing tight as you can. Squeeze, 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 and release. Good. Okay, now we're going to, wanting to work a little bit on the calf muscles, because there's no range of movement in the ankle, those calf muscles can't functionally get strengthened because they've got no movement to push against. But we're going to try and isometrically work them because they're really important for blood flow and getting your venous returns, you're getting your blood flowing back to your heart from that leg. So as you're standing there, I want you to try and imagine pushing your whole foot down into the ground. And as you're doing that, squeeze the back of the leg. So starting with the calf, squeeze the calf muscle, squeeze the hamstrings down the back of your thigh, and squeeze the buttocks tight as you can. So feeling the whole of the back of your leg activating. Imagine trying to push the front of your foot down into the floor and relax. I'm going to do 3 more of those. So push the foot into the floor as much as you can imagine. Squeeze the calf muscles. Squeeze the back of the thighs. Squeeze the buttocks. Hold, 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 and release. 2 more. Squeeze those calves, pushing the foot into the floor as much as you can, as though you were trying to lift your heels off the floor. Squeeze the hamstrings at the back, squeeze your buttocks, squeeze your glutes. Hold, 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 and release. One more time, as though you were trying to lift your heels off the ground. Squeeze those calves, squeeze the hamstrings, squeeze the glutes, and hold, hold, hold a little bit longer, squeeze a little bit tighter, and relax, and come down. Very nice. Coming now into sitting to finish off. So finding a nice comfortable position, bringing the leg up, the foot up onto your knee, so the side where you've had your fusion. We're going to try and bring, so depending on how much range of movement you have in your hip here, allowing that knee to open up wherever is comfortable. And we're going to use your hands to give a little bit of input through the foot, through the joints, through the muscles and the skin and the ligaments that surround your foot and ankle. So just starting with gently creating some pressure around the ankle and moving that pressure like you're squeezing it with your hands all the way down to the feet. Good. Just gentle pressure, whatever feels good to you. And then as you're going, try and feel where there's some movement. And where there is movement, try and encourage a little more movement. So in particular, through the front part of the foot where it has not been fused, it's most likely very stiff. So you could try and take your hands, the bottom part of your hand, along the, what I call the knuckles of the foot, and the top part across just the opposite part of that. Or you can bring the other hand over there, and you can try to turn the front part of the foot side to side, trying to rotate it or twist it a little bit. But I'm going to bring my foot a little bit closer so that you can see this. So I'm bringing my hand over the top, my thumb underneath. This is fused. And I'm trying to get some movement this way. Good. Then you can take, so you're still sitting on the chair, you can take your hands to the back of the toes and try and stretch them back. Let's start with one at a time, starting with the big toe. Try and draw that toe back. At the same time, you can take your opposite hand and run it down along the line from that toe, the line that goes into the heel. So just stretching in through the arch, through the fascia at the bottom of the foot. You could use your fingers or your knuckles even, whatever feels okay. It might feel sensitive. Just do what feels good. Then moving to the next toe, draw that toe back towards the ankle. And doing the same, using a knuckle into the arch of the foot, gently stroking towards the ankle. Good. Next toe, same thing. So just trying to create some mobility in the skin and the fascia and the tissues that sit at the bottom of the foot that might be causing unnecessary restriction. So we've got restriction there from the fusion. We don't want any extra unnecessary restriction. We can help it. Then bringing your hand to the next toe. Keep going. Keep massaging into the arch of the foot. You're moving in the line of the toe that you're stretching. So you're moving now more towards the outside of the foot. And then taking hold of the baby toe lastly, stretching it back and massaging with your knuckles deep along the outer edge of the foot. Good. Then you can take hold over the top of your toes and try and curl them downwards as far as they will go. Be gentle, just inviting them to point downwards. You can do one at a time here, or you can do them all together. It's a bit of an explorative time where you can move and coax and encourage and explore your own foot and the movement that feels good for you and feels like, oh, there's a bit of space there that I can work into that is not permanently fixated. So whatever mobility is still in that foot that is not connected to the fusion, we want to try and regain and encourage some of that. Good. You can spend as much time as you like here. We're going to bring that foot back down to the ground. Sitting comfortably where we started with your feet evenly. See if you can notice any difference in how your lower back feels, or how your ankles feel, or how your body in general feels. And close your eyes for a moment with me. Try and invite your breath right into your belly. And let it go. 2 more of those. Let it go. 1 more. And let it go. Well done. Keep working at it. Add some weight if you need. Take it slower if you need. And once you are able to do all of these exercises, the same amount of repetitions with some weight, we can progress you to another level. Bye-bye.